Hey V1 golfers, Jon Watts here from the Tru Golf Academy. Just wanted to do a review on Rory McIlroy through the years. Obviously coming into the FedEx, defending champ, won it last year round, so it'd be good to have a little review of what's happening or what changes he's made with his golf swing. On the left we've got a swing from last year, 2022. This one over here on the right, the date I don't think is right because you can tell by the haircut, the camera frame rate and the quality. Definitely filmed in Dubai, I would say, and I think he had this haircut 2010, 2011. I'm pretty sure he had chopped it off by probably 2012, but I'll let you guys bring it up. So a good 10 years difference between these two videos. Now, I do some little apologies, but I have looked through some other videos. He has got his feet line aiming a little bit more left on this left-hand one than he has on the right-hand one. So potentially we're trying to hit more of a fade here and more of a draw here. So there's going to be a few differences there anyway. But I'm just going to highlight the big changes he's made. There's some similarities really in the backswing. The difference would be that he keeps the club a little bit more out in front of him on the more modern one. So if I get them back and stop them at about halfway back, which we're pretty close here, you can see the club shaft is straight through his right forearm on the older swing, running through the top half, well, the middle of his elbow. Whereas here we've got the club shaft actually set more towards the front of his right forearm and the club shaft is closer to his shoulder. So the club definitely a little bit more up, a little bit more out and in front of him. But again, this could be a little bit due to the shot shape. Now he has a similar fault. It's hard picking fault with Rory McIlroy, but if you were going to pick a fault in his backswing, you'd just say he lacks a little bit of hip depth. His head tends to go forwards towards the golf ball and his hips come off that line. And with that, his shoulders get possibly a little bit on the flat side. But, as I said, very hard to pick fault with perhaps one of the world's best drivers of the golf ball. The big differences I see here is what he does in the downswing. So I'm just going to get Rory to about halfway down, and I'm going to have to speed up the right-hand one. As I said, they were filmed, I'll put my teeth in, at slightly different frame rates. But the biggest difference you can see here with the swing plane, definitely keeping the club more out in front of him on the left-hand one, rather than getting that club below him. So you can see this one is getting nearer to the lower yellow line, whereas this one is nearer the upper yellow banding line. Here he's got his hands more behind him, here he's got his hands more working out in front of him. There's also the big difference, and this is what I want to highlight into impact, of how he maintains a better posture on the downswing. So over here with this movement, he gets his pelvis moving more forwards towards the golf ball. That's drawing a blue, so his hips are moving more in this direction. Losing more hip depth and losing more spine angle, which is often why the club is getting dropped a little bit more behind him. Now we know he's a lot stronger now than he was back then, even though he could still hit the ball, you know, a country mile, of course. But into that delivery stage, look how much more behind him the golf club is here. It's got a lot more catching up to be done. And you'll see the difference in spine angle. If I highlight them at this stage, his back angle over here, let's work off mid to lower back, 78 degrees, whereas mid to lower back here, 67, 68 degrees. So a good 10 degrees difference in spine angle. So he's really able to maintain back angle a lot more, keep his backside closer to the line behind him. And you can see he's got the club a lot more out in front of him, a lot more neutral with his swing path. This one was definitely traveling more from in to out. We know he obviously relied on those big, high draws. He's now got it, he does still hit the draw, but a lot more neutral with his path, not as extreme. The other difference, if I take them both through to impact, so the change in posture and how far the club was behind him. Because he had lost more hip depth here, he had to fold even more with his right shoulder, right elbow, or trail shoulder, trail elbow. Whereas this one, he looks like he's just got more space, a little bit more room to swing the golf club. And because of that, if you look at the exit position, and again, these could be slightly different shot shapes, but he definitely gets his handle and club disappearing more inward, more to the left on the way through. A lot more, we would class it as neutral. This one over here on the right hand side, the older swing, the club is a lot more outside his hands and the club face is a lot more rolled over, a lot more rotation. If I have a little zoom in here of the club face through impact. So a higher, we would measure it as a closure rate, which is how quickly the toe of the golf club is passing the heels. This one, a more in to out, a higher closure rate, and definitely relied more on timing. This one, a much more neutral swing path, able to maintain his spine angle and get his handle moving a lot more inward. So really the recipe for a more consistent golfer over here on the left-hand one compared to here. And I guess a lot of that, as well as advancements in technology, understanding of path and things with use of foresight technology and TrackMan, but also just the strength, you know, that he now has, where he's able to maintain his spine angle up more, keep the club more in front of him rather than losing his back angle and getting that club trapped more behind him. They're really the differences, the major differences I see. Not a huge amount in the backswing, but quite a lot in the downswing there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's given you a little bit more understanding of Rory's golf swing through the years. And I hope you enjoy watching him, hopefully, win again at the Tour Championship.